Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. I am MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to talk about Will Ospreay being perhaps the greatest professional wrestler of all time, according, of course, to Dave Meltzer. So we're going to go through a list of factoids about Will Ospreay that may blow your mind. Now, these factoids are collected by the people who follow Dave Meltzer and the Wrestling Observer newsletter. So if these things are incorrect, feel free to correct me in the comments section. But we're going to go through some amazing factoids that would say that Will Ospreay is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. 1. As of 2022, at one point in time in 2022, Will Ospreay had 3 5-star matches in 1 week. This was in August of 2022. On the 18th, the 21st, and the 24th. Within a 7-day period, Will Ospreay had collected 3 5-star rated contests. These 3 were August 18th versus Kazuchika Okada, which got 5.75 stars. August 21st against RKJ, which was 5 stars. And the 24th was, I think, a 6-man tag against Death Triangle, which was on, I believe, Dynamite. And he got 5 stars. So he had 3 of the greatest matches of all time in 1 week. Amazing work for Will Ospreay. That was just in 2022. However, by November of 2023, Will Ospreay had already had 8 or more matches with 5-star ratings. By November of 2023, there were already 8 Will Ospreay matches that have 5 stars or more. He wrestled Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom 17. Yeah, Forbidden Door versus Kenny Omega. Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi, Yota Tsuji, Zack Sabre Jr., Mike Bailey, and Shooter Umino. And there's a couple of other ones. But he had at least 8 5-star matches by November of 2023. That's purely amazing stuff, but pales in comparison to his output in 2024. As of Christmas Day 2024, the day this video is being recorded, he has 13 5-star matches in 2024 alone. 13. That's 1 for every month of this year. And the month is not even over yet. He still has to wrestle 1, maybe 2 more matches at World's End before this month is over. So he could quite possibly have 15 or maybe even 16 5-star matches by the end of 2024. Just amazing stuff. Then, according to ITR Wrestling, Will Ospreay has more 5-star matches than any other professional wrestling promotion in history, minus New Japan. New Japan Pro Wrestling, in the history of its life, has 99 5-star matches. Will Ospreay has 44. He has more 5-star matches by himself than the WWF, the WWE, WCW, TNA, and Ring of Honor combined. In fact, his match with Mike Bailey, which got 5 stars, I believe in 2023, was only the second TNA match to ever get 5 stars. Will Ospreay, by the look of this, should be considered the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Who has ever put together such a massive list of critically acclaimed matches? And I'm just talking about the 5-star stuff. Not even talking about all the stuff when it comes to Cage Match, and all the other fan sites. We're talking strictly Wrestling Observer Newsletter, the Bible of the IWC. Dave Meltzer, the sage of San Jose, gave this guy 44 or 45 5-star matches as of Christmas Day 2024. He's got to be the greatest professional wrestler of all time. How could you argue against him? He has more 5-star matches than most other wrestling promotions. Now, I know that we used to compare him to like Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle and Bret Hart, but why? Why compare him to people who have 0? Why compare him to those kinds? We should compare them to the entire promotion, for God's sake. He has had more 5-star matches in 1 week than TNA has ever had. He had more 5-star matches in the week of August 17th to 24th in 2022 than TNA's entire history. 20 years it existed. He had more 5-star matches in 1 week. Now, what are we to think about this? I mean, it's clear if you follow this channel, we don't put a lot of stock in what Dave Meltzer thinks. But I have never seen a reviewer, a critic of any kind, glaze this hard. I've never seen it. I have never seen anything like this before in my life. That would be the equivalent of every other album artist dropped getting 5 stars in the source, or a double XL from Double XL magazine, or a director putting together a movie and every other movie got 2 thumbs up from Siskel and Ebert. In the history of criticism, I mean criticism of literature, criticism of music, criticism of film, you have never seen this in criticism of anything. Even in the Grammys, where, these aberrations happen, like Lauryn Hill, where she won like 6 or 7 Grammys for one album. That doesn't happen even for like Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson, no matter how many records he sold, one of the highest selling artists of all time, never won a Grammy for every single album he ever put out, regardless of how well it sold. He didn't win a Grammy for everything. This has never occurred anywhere at any point in time. So you have to ask the question, if he has so many 5-star matches, what does having a 5-star match really mean? If he can have these 5-star matches so easily, to the point where he can have 3 of them in 1 week, collect more in a year than anybody will see in 20 years, what does it really mean to have a 5-star match? And of course, we know that Meltzer doesn't really do a good job of explaining what separates a 5-star match from a 4.5. To be quite honest, he doesn't really appropriately explain what separates a 3-star match from a 5-star match. So when you think about this thing and you see people hyping it up on social media, you do ask the question, who cares what Meltzer thinks? But it's not about who cares what Meltzer thinks. This is something we've never seen before. This is a level of fandom of somebody, an institution within the industry, being so solidly and blindingly biased that it cannot have any relevance, even if you wanted to give it some. Even if you wanted to give Meltzer relevance, there is absolutely no way you can look at this and say he's objectively rating these matches fairly. You just can't do it. This is not just to denigrate Meltzer, okay? It is certainly not an attack on Will Ospreay. He didn't give himself these matches. He just has matches. That's just what he does. He works a certain match style that this particular guy really enjoys. But he managed to parlay all of these 5-star matches into a no doubt 7-figure contract, despite the fact that he has no history of drawing any money. Which is the point of professional wrestling, is to do this stuff and get people to believe in you to the point where they will pay for a ticket. He has no history of drawing money, yet he has 45 5-star matches, and Tony Khan backed up the Brinks truck. Because, my God, if Kenny Omega was the best bout machine, then what the hell is this guy? I mean, the 5-star match miracle? What is this? They're calling him Billy Goat. He's the greatest wrestler of all time. He's only 32. He's 32. And he's greater than Ric Flair? He's better than Shawn Michaels and AJ Styles and everybody? Bruno? Fez? This is better than everybody, huh? That's amazing. And yet, nobody remembers any of these matches. These matches, they get 5 stars and then they go in the bin. They go into somebody's website. They get written down on a sheet of paper. They get tweeted out. But that's it. Nobody rarely revisits them. They're not talked about in terms of huge, significant events for pro wrestling, which is what you would think would get 5 stars. A match that was huge and was a significant event for the business, you would think that would get 5 stars. But no, regular matches on Dynamite get 5-star matches as if they changed the history of the business, and then 3 weeks later, it's replaced with another 5-star match that's now the best match in the history of the business. This is the greatest match on television until 2 weeks later, where they have, again, the greatest match on television. I don't like this. And there's a conversation that needs to be had when it comes to how Dave Meltzer has destroyed his own rating system. How he has brainwashed a large percentage of the fan base into thinking his rating system matters, that it means something, that it's unbiased, and and even to some of you people, some of the people in my audience, you may say, well, Meltzer doesn't matter. You're missing the point of what I just said. Meltzer gave this guy 20 some odd 5-star matches. And then this guy with no history of drawing money in the United States got a 7-figure contract from Tony Khan. It had a real effect. Whether we say, oh, it doesn't matter or not, it had a real effect. A real financial effect. He got a 7-figure contract from Tony Khan with zero history of drawing money in the United States. None. No history of drawing TV ratings. No history of selling merchandise. No history of actually moving business. He got a 7-figure contract from Tony Khan because he had all of these 5-star matches. Now, whether we want to say that Meltzer does not matter, it clearly matters. Because in a world where there are things called incentives, and what that means is, if people see that something is being rewarded, they will follow suit. Monkey see, monkey do. You all hear that. If you're a young indie wrestler and you see this, that a guy with no history of drawing money, no history of selling merchandise, no history of selling tickets, can get a 7-figure contract just because he wrestles a certain style that excites the Sage of San Jose, he can get a 7-figure contract out of Tony Khan. Why wouldn't you do it? And if you're listening to this and you have that level of athleticism, which is Will Ospreay's greatest strength, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you mimic Will Ospreay's match style and attempt to try to get some 5-star matches so that you too can one day cash in and get a 7-figure contract and not have to sell a fucking ticket? Not one ticket. That's my question. what's your incentive to actually learn how to do pro wrestling? What is your incentive to actually care about gate receipts and merchandise and TV ratings and things that push the business forward, when personal critical acclaim is all that matters? You see this sometimes in athletics. You know, a basketball player or whatever will tout his own stats while the team loses. You know, the team lost, but he's going to talk about how many points he scored. This is a big NBA thing. This was, of course, back in the early 2000s, late 90s. You would hear these guys talk about how he had this great shooting percentage, and, you know, how many three-pointers he hit, how many layups, how many dunks, how many fast breaks he went on, all that kind of stuff, but the team lost. It's a losing team, but he's a great player on a losing team, so he's going to make more money, but the team's just going to keep losing. And then eventually, everybody's just going to be like, oh, he was a great player on a losing team. And, okay, well, that works. But don't you want the team to win? Isn't that the point of basketball, is for the team to win? I mean, the fans may like that the one player is that damn good, but ultimately, the fans would like a championship too. And I say this as somebody who was a big fan of Barry Sanders growing up. I celebrate Barry Sanders. I watch Barry Sanders every single Sunday. And if he played on Monday, I would watch that rather than watching Raw. But those Lions teams stunk. They sucked. And he never won anything. All the rushing records that Barry Sanders broke meant nothing because his team were losers. They were some of the losingest teams in football. And it's unfortunate that his hard work went to nothing. But it's a team sport. It's a team game. And the point is for the team to win championships. Now, pro wrestling is not exactly the same thing. But you should want to further the business. You should want to sell tickets. And if you look at New Japan when Will Ospreay left, it was in dire financial straits when he left. It's even worse now because he was really pretty much all they had. But it wasn't doing that well when he was there. In fact, I think it started to slump right around the time Omega left. I think it peaked with Jericho versus Omega and it's been on a downslope ever since. Again, this guy has no history of selling tickets. No history of selling merchandise. No history of bumping TV ratings. He got a huge contract based off of his individual efforts, which were substantial. I'm not even saying these matches were bad, because most of them I haven't even seen. So I can't tell you whether they were worth 5 stars or not. I'm not arguing about which matches were 5-star matches. I don't care. That's not even the point. My point is, this guy, if you were to take Meltzer's word seriously, which a lot of people do, this man is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. And he has no history of drawing money. None. And yet he still got a 7-figure contract from Tony Khan with no history of drawing money at all. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.